you should always trust your gut 100% of the time. Be like,
Yeah.
it's a lot more intelligent than you think it is. And if you're not trusting your gut, then you might as well flip a coin.
Yeah. No, I think welcome to Vibe Scaling. I'm Mariano, here with my one of my co-founders, Claudio. And today we're going to be diving into a topic every founder struggles with: speed versus perfection. If you had to choose between shipping something broken but fast, or waiting until it's polished but late, which way do you lean and why?
I guess it's really, it depends on I guess what stage you're at I mean, if you talk about products, right, I think it just depends on like whether this is like your initial MVP or something more or like a feature, right? But you already have like an existing product, existing user base, and you're shipping like a plus one feature. So I mean, my opinion on this, and obviously I'd love to hear kind of like your take, but I think like very early days, like you're shipping like the first like a V0 of anything, you probably want to lean more towards it can be a little bit broken, just so you can get those first reps in and basically figure out what's not working, because it might be broken, but you might not know exactly what's broken. So
Yeah.
just the fact that you get it out there usually helps you identify where the leaks are, and then you go out and fix those. Later on, I think there's just more risk. So also there's like a risk factor. Like at the very early stages, there's no risk because like no one's really using your product anyway. Later on, like for example, what Comp AI is today now, we have to be more careful with the stuff that we break. And I also think there's like a like how risky is this? You know, can this lead to customer data loss? Like that's very risky. Like you don't want to mess around with that. Want to make sure it's buttoned up. Or is this just, you know, a user interface that might look a little bit weird? So this is like, I guess, like different flavors of broken, and you want to make sure like at least you're more buttoned up on sensitive components. And I think you can be a little bit more flexible on the more, I don't know, the non-critical sort of parts of your application.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, kind of like picking and choosing when, or yeah, it depends like what part of the app you're touching, right? If you're building a product. If it's something like you said, like database related, you have to be very careful with those things.
Yeah.
You know, even something as simple as removing a column or something that could break everyone's
Yes, is it backwards compatible? Is it not? Like that sort of thing.
So yeah, for me, when it comes to like backend stuff, like I think that it's a lot more careful. Really take your time and also test on, you know, testing environments and stuff like that to make sure everything went as you expected.
I think that's also like I mean, there's something interesting happening today with like we're using LLMs to, you know, quote unquote vibe code, and that also means that sometimes you think things are working well, but the AI can go in weird directions, right? So it might actually be more broken than you think it is. So I think there's also like an interesting tension there between your perception of what's good enough to ship versus what's broken, because you're trusting this like AI. I guess you could say the same thing about an employee, right? An engineer, it's like they told you that it's good, but is it actually good? So I think there's also some considerations there around like making sure you're understanding of whether it's good enough or not good enough. Like, is that accurate, or are you just kind of like trusting it blindly?
Yeah, I think also that, but also something that helps a lot with kind of like being able to still rely on the AI is to have a lot of tests, like in the code, automated tests, you know, integration, end to end, all that stuff.
So how you balancing that today, like in your team?
Yeah, kind of like you just have to take the time to write those tests. Obviously, you can use AI to write them,
Yeah.
but
You have to make sure they're good tests.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't just be crap
You
tests.
still have to review the code and make sure that it's good.
Yeah.
But I would say probably like setting it up beforehand. You know, kind of do like the red-green testing.
Yeah.
Try to get as much coverage as possible.
So what kind of tests have you found useful? So for example, because I think for a long time I had the opinion that, and maybe I still do in some areas, specifically with engineering, that like there's some kind of tests that are just, they take so much time to A, write, although that's much faster now, B, maintain to and oftentimes that trade-off is not worth it. Like when you're very early stage, you know what I mean? Like you just want to get a product out to market, and it's almost like, I mean, I've told people, I've literally tweeted about this, where essentially if you're in big tech like Microsoft, Apple, Google, like they prioritize a lot of, robust testing. As a startup, it's like you don't have the time or the resources to like really go that deep, because it slows you down to a halt. How do you strike the balance, and how do you think about sort of like what's the right balance with testing versus actually just shipping stuff?
Yeah, I think it it's more like a vibe.
It's about
It's I think it's just kind of being aware of, is your app becoming more and more unstable?
Mhm.
And if you start noticing that, then I think that's a good time to slap in the tests at that point. I don't think like you should, if you're just starting off, you should just write up a billion tests.
Right.
One of the reasons is because the code is going to change a lot, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you don't even know what the final structure is going to be. So yeah, maybe waiting a little bit until you figure out like this is how the code is going to be for a long time now. Um, that's probably the right time to start writing tests.
Yep.
Like also, right now at Comp AI, we're starting to get a lot of customers. We also want to make sure that the app never breaks for them, right? So
Yep.
it's been more of a priority lately to, implement more testing. Also, even like we just hired a QA person,
Mhm.
right, to start testing thoroughly every time we make a release. So stuff like that is I think it's necessary once you start growing. And again, there's no set like, oh, after you have 10 customers, then you do it, right?
Right.
It's more like when you feel like, okay,
Vibes.
things are starting
Yeah.
to get out of control, you need to, reel it back in.
Yeah. So how does that tie back to the whole, I guess your first question was something around
Yeah.
sort of imperfect, broken versus perfection. Now we're talking about testing as a way to kind of like
Mhm.
make sure it's not as broken.
Yeah.
I guess what's your take on, I
Yeah,
guess,
I think,
also stage dependent, or I guess,
yeah. Yeah, I think it's very stage dependent, and also very feature dependent.
yeah.
So it's like starting off, just go as fast as you can, break everything. Who cares?
Yeah.
You don't have any customers, doesn't matter. Unless you do, then you should care. But um, even then, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There could be something where like you tell your customers like they're aware that you're in beta or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
things might break. Maybe they're okay with that. If they're okay with that, then by all means just go do it. Obviously, be mindful. Don't be breaking everything
Right, right.
for no reason.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit controversial, but like I sometimes do let users test the product for you, and
Yeah,
it might be annoying to some people, but especially when it's very early stage products, it's like, again, you're just trying to test as quickly as possible multiple things. It's like
hmm
whether people are even going to use your product in the first place, because there's actually a chance that no one uses it, and then you spend all this time making sure that it's not broken.
yeah,
Um, there's obviously like a balance there between, is it fully broken? Is it completely unusable? Obviously, you're not going to learn anything from getting
yeah,
that out there.
yeah,
If you can get through the core loop, at least within, a certain amount of happy paths, then maybe that's good enough. And it might still be broken in some areas. Like you might not
yeah,
have perfect coverage around input validation, or,
yeah.
like all the
And
icing
most
on
of
the
these
cake.
things, you talk about improve validation, like these are handled by like libraries, like right in
Yeah.
your code. So
Yeah.
there's actually there's so many libraries out there that nowadays you don't have to write as many tests, right?
Yeah.
I think you're probably more focused on like the end-to-end tests.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on your language, right? But with TypeScript, everything's type safe, everything gets checked during the build.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, use libraries like Zod,
Obviously,
right? So you're
that's will be your
validating those
technology choice too,
schemas,
because I think some people don't necessarily choose technologies that
right?
have a lot of, I don't know, like guardrails like built into
Yeah,
sort of like the stack or the framework or the language
yeah.
itself.
That's part of the reason why I don't like using Python.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Maybe I'm a Python noob. I don't know,
Yeah,
but the fact that it's not type safe right off the bat, it's super annoying. You always run into bugs
yeah.
during runtime.
I think
I
the
know there's
latest
libraries.
versions do add it, but it's nowhere as near as quality of life as
Yeah,
TypeScript.
yeah,
Still a very
yeah. I
different
don't know.
experience.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I just think like there's a big. I mean, obviously, some stuff has changed with AI, some stuff hasn't, but I definitely think as a philosophy, generally, I personally try to lean more towards choosing technologies that help you focus on the value added layer all the way at the top, as opposed to fighting with the more fundamental
Yeah.
like building blocks.
But
So,
also like when I ship features, like
yeah,
I do test it myself, right?
right.
Like I make sure that everything I do, I test like the parts that I actually, changed.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but again, I don't get worried about like testing 100% all the edge cases kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
It's kind of like testing the 80/20, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like for the most part, it's good. Could there be some edge case? Maybe.
yeah,
And then I think those are the kinds of issues that the customers raise is like the edge cases usually,
yeah,
which is good, right? You don't want them to raise like the obvious mistake,
yeah, yeah,
right? Or the obvious bug. So I think as long as like people have discipline, like everyone in my team, like you have to be testing it yourself, testing on the staging environment, at least like the most common flows,
yeah.
basically. And on top of obviously all the automated testing and all that stuff. But I think if you do that, it's probably like good enough. Um,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
mean, because I do think some of this, I guess maybe the basis of the original question was also around how do you achieve velocity as a
yeah,
team, right? And I think nailing that decision between speed and perfection is maybe one of the most important things you can do. Because it almost seems like you lose speed if you get it wrong on either side.
yeah,
If you ship too fast and it's broken, you're gonna lose speed because you're not gonna
yeah,
learn anything. You're gonna have customer issues. You're gonna have to like go back. You just wasted time. At the same time, if you just always optimize for perfection, you're never gonna ship, right? It's gonna be 6 months later, and you're still in kind of pre-alpha version. So I think there's just something around nailing your ability to assess context and situation and like choose the right sort of place to land in that spectrum for at the right time for the right context seems to be, I think, just a big enabler. I guess I'm just curious to like hear from. I mean, obviously we work on the same team,
hmm
but essentially, kind of like how do you think we go about making those decisions? I mean, we talked about some of the engineering bits, right? Um, I guess do you think we're fast, and if so, like why are we fast?
um, yeah. I mean, I think we're fast, because of AI.
Yeah,
Uh, everything we do is with AI, basically. Like that. There's most of our code is written with AI at
yeah,
this
yeah,
point. Um, but obviously we do quality check it, and uh, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's more of a vibe, like I said earlier. It's like
I guess. But what
I
are you
think
looking for? Like as you're like evaluating like the vibe of something.
I guess I take a look at like the impact. Like, what's the impact of this feature,
Yeah,
right? Like, is it going to impact every single user, right? If it's something that major,
yeah, yeah.
then that's when you
Invest a
take
little
your
more.
time. Yeah, you take your time to make sure it's right. If it's something like, oh, this is a new page that, it's kind of like optional or something like that, maybe you can be a little bit careless. Obviously, still you should do a good job. But yeah, you don't have to be as, um, you know, I don't know, careful with something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm wondering, like, I want to hear your thoughts on, do you think there was something that in Comp AI that we shipped that was too early? Like we did it too fast?
Too fast. I I think there's probably been a couple. Like I remember the first time we added like an AI chat to the application, I think it was just meant to be more of an experiment,
Hmm.
and I don't think it was thoughtful enough initially in terms of what value it kind of created or what its purpose was.
Hmm.
So I don't think necessarily I think it worked okay, like it was functional, but I think one of the trade-offs we made there was not being more intentional around how this should be used. So yeah, I do think there's been some of those that, I mean, the challenge there is like you add complexity to the code base, right? And then you add complexity to the product, right? So from a user experience, there's more things to click into, and if their purpose isn't clearly defined, you're more likely to get lost in the experience as opposed
Yeah.
to just a narrow experience where everything has like a clear purpose and is well organized. Um, so yeah, for example, I look back at the AI chat. It's like one of those where it's like, okay, it was novel, but I
Yeah.
think we could have been a lot more intentional with it at the time.
Yeah. And then maybe that costs like to ship like a underwhelming feature, right? Like
Yeah.
because it didn't have any direction, it didn't have any real like concrete purpose.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like maybe the chat is kind of lackluster, right? Obviously, we improved it over time. Now it's actually really good, and
Yeah.
explains to you all about compliance and GRC and all that stuff. But yeah, initially it was kind of like, oh, it's just ChatGPT. Why do I care?
Yeah,
Like,
sure it has context, but like what can I
right,
actually do with it? When am I going to use it? What, how do you integrate it more? I think it was some of these features. I mean, at the end of the day, like it demoed well, so I think that's probably also why we did it initially.
yeah,
I think we did get value on the sales and marketing side, but I
yeah,
think on the product side, it could have been more intentional.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's probably one that comes to mind.
I'm curious to hear the inverse now.
Yeah.
So what's something that we took too long and that it turned out to be like not even useful or beneficial and
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of we wasted a lot of time.
I think there's probably a lot more of those than there have been
Yeah.
of the ones where we ship too fast. Because I think we tend to
So
get stuck
what's like the biggest
over
example you
engineering.
can think of that
I think
you feel kind of maybe a little bit bad about? And you're like,
yeah.
ah, like I wish we didn't do that.
I think the way we approached self-serve maybe took a little bit too long. Obviously we weren't sure about that direction. We were just experimenting. But especially in that case, right? We're like, it's just an experiment. So if we're thinking about this as an experiment, then it doesn't need to be 100% kind of scalable and thinking about the next 6 to 12 months in terms of like,
Yeah.
will this be robust? So I think we spent probably more engineering time than we should have there. Um, I think, for example, also sometimes maybe not even engineering related, but on the marketing side, I remember putting together like a strategy for like, here's how we're going to conquer every single channel, right, for distribution.
Yeah.
And when the right answer, that delayed our time to start pumping out content, whereas it could have been more, let's just pick two channels, go for it. That could have been done in a day or two, and then we're off to the races. We can come back and add more complexity. But I think sometimes we get too ambitious and we wanna. I mean, I treat things sometimes as an artist, right? It's like I want to be proud of my work. So when I want to ship
Yeah.
something that I'm like really that I can stand behind, I don't want to put something haphazard. So I have to battle this. There's this tension between my pride as a builder and as a marketer and as a founder versus the most optimal, efficient way to just get the first thing out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's probably it's almost like it's better to ship it good enough and then you can improve it later
Yeah.
rather than trying to get it perfect the first time.
Yeah, I mean, we've known this. This is not
Yeah.
anything revolutionary. I think it's just harder in practice when you're actually there where it's already good enough. I think it's hard for some personalities. For my
Yeah.
personality, it's kind of difficult. Where like I find myself already there, it's shippable, but I have some concerns, right?
Yeah.
And putting those concerns to bed and just overriding it and just shipping it has been difficult for me. But I'm curious, like for you, to like, I guess, do any examples like,
Well,
like
something that took long.
yeah, like, from your perspective, what fits that criteria of something that took too long?
Uh, I think we had this stint where we were kind of trying to test out migrating everything to AWS.
Yeah,
I think that we kind of took like 2, 3 weeks or I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
maybe a month doing that. Um, it seemed like a waste of time. We were always kind of questioning like the decision, like should we really be doing this?
yeah, yeah,
And we were doing it. We're probably still going to do it,
yeah,
but maybe in a more hacky way.
yeah,
To basically deploy our whole app into AWS and have
yeah,
it running there, so we can get into the AWS marketplace. Which it might be a good strategy, right, on the marketing side, on the business side. But I think the way we approached it on the engineering side was maybe a little too complicated, and again, maybe it was one of those like we were trying to get it perfect
yeah.
at the time, and we lost a lot of time because of that. But you literally you learn.
How do you
I
counter against that? How do you not make that mistake again?
how do you not make that mistake again? I don't know. I kind of feel like you have to make the mistake, and then once you
Yeah,
make it, then you learn, and you're like, then you think hard because it's gonna hurt, right?
yeah, yeah,
It hurt a lot. So next time we're thinking about this perfect way of doing
yeah, yeah,
things. We maybe hold each other accountable as a team and be like, do we really want to do it the perfect way?
yeah,
Like, let's just do it the more scrappy way.
yeah,
Because again, it's one of those things like we didn't know the value yet.
yeah,
So there's no point in doing it perfect if we don't know the value yet.
Yeah.
Again, we do the good enough version, and then if we want to improve it later because it worked, then we do that.
I think it's painful because we've been on both sides of the equation where like we make a decision that was fast and efficient and it turns out to lead to maybe it does work, right? And now you find yourself committed to a path that now it sort of comes back to haunt you a couple months later. We're like, okay, now we depend on this approach that just wasn't well thought through. So it's you can never get these things right. So either you wasted too much time, I think, or
Yeah.
you wasted too little time, but then now you have to pay the price later.
Yeah.
So it's really, I think at the end of the day, I just a lot of it is to your point, more like intuition based. It's like you feel it in your gut, where like you're spending too much time on this or not enough time on this. And you just gotta trust
I
that.
wonder if can this be avoided in the pre-planning stage, like before you even start doing it, because there's the point of like you're doing it and then you catch yourself, you're like this is taking too long, let me not do it, or you start questioning it. But there's like how do you prevent this from the beginning, from the planning stage? Like, what do you think about that?
So I think when I think about the AWS migration that you mentioned, one of the things I remember us going through as a team was I think we were all working on different things at the time. And I think there was a lack of shared context. So I think leaning more on over communicating the approach, both before and during, can create this natural checkpoint for questioning whether that approach is actually the right one. And I think actually what happened, I remember there, is some of the requirements were like vaguely understood. And I think we all had different definitions of what the requirements were. And as we started talking more about it, we're like, actually, it probably makes more sense this different way. And that simplified the approach significantly. So it's almost like I think we initially thought the requirements were more complex than they actually were. And through like leaning more on sharing our thought process, it simplified significantly. So I think that helps a ton. And I think I would lean more on we should be constantly talking about it.
Yeah. Hey, do you think this applies to different parts of the company as well, not just engineering?
Yeah, I think I mean it has to do with I think it's like information asymmetry where you think you know the requirements, you actually don't know the requirements.
Yeah.
So for example, in product and engineering, to go back to product and engineering,
Yeah.
customer says, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. And then you have like a customer success person that reaches out to an engineer and says like, hey, customer needs X, Y, and Z. And if you take that at face value, you can often think that that requires this entire feature set in order to deliver on that specific thing. And in reality, maybe someone else has some context that can significantly correct your perception of whether you really need this whole feature or just a small adjustment. And if you just take it at face value and you just immediately go and build it, you're gonna waste a lot of time. So I think just like talking more about it can help you like be like, oh, actually, in reality, what they really wanted was this other thing,
Right.
and it was much simpler, and there was a workaround, and here's the workaround, or we had already figured this out. I think communication is probably like a very, very big antidote. If I think about the same thing, let's see, on sales and marketing, I think probably also it just creates accountability, right?
Yeah.
Where you don't go too far down one path. You continue to talk about it. Someone else can ask, well, why?
Yeah.
Like, why does it have to be this way? Can it be simpler?
Yeah.
As long as your culture has that kind of baked in, that you continue to ask for velocity and simplicity always, which I think our culture does. I think again the communication piece almost seems like to be like a really good antidote.
Yeah. I'm curious how you like. I think I don't know if we're known, but we hire very fast, right?
Yes.
So like, how does this whole kind of thinking play into hiring? Like, how do you think that all ties together?
I think I've slowly been finding the middle ground in hiring personally,
Yeah.
where I think initially we hired too fast and we skipped some of the steps in talking to more candidates because we just want to get moving, right? It's like, how fast can I get someone here?
Right.
Over time, that backfires, right? So you end up
Yeah.
with people that don't work out and you have to phase them out, and that's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays I'm slowly calibrating more towards a little bit more checks up front are helpful. Tangibly, what we're doing today is we're interviewing more candidates, so increasing the pool of data points. It's really helpful. Second of all, having work trials and always setting the expectation of let's see how this works together. Even and that only comes after you're pre-filtered significantly.
Yeah.
But it creates almost like a second filter, and then we kind of proceed to hiring. And I think related to this, not specifically in hiring, but I think also culturally, we are probably doing a really good job at like fast decision making.
Hmm.
I think where we have struggled is like taking action on it too fast. So I think you can be fast in the decision making, but I think investing a little bit more on like the groundwork to provide better data and better insights to the fast decision making.
Yeah.
It's probably how we calibrate. And I've seen the opposite at different companies where like they spend too much time debating whether this is like the right or wrong approach. It's like, well, sure, but that's going to slow you down significantly if you're not able to just get in a room, make quick decisions, keep moving. I think us as founders, we have our weekly. I think every 2 times every week we meet for like 30 minutes, and
Hmm.
those conversations are great because we just kind of go like, okay, what's the agenda? What's top of mind for everyone? Let's make quick fire decisions across every single department.
Yeah.
And it's just like decide, and then everything just like begins to move very quickly. And I think
Yeah.
that's probably unique to us. I don't think many companies do
True.
that.
And it kind of ties to the whole like oversharing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Everyone gets their own opinion and their own input.
Yeah.
Maybe they see something that you didn't see, because we all do have kind of different ownerships of different parts of the company, right?
Yeah.
Like Lewis is on the sales side, and you're more on the marketing side, Al
Yep.
on the engineering side. So we're all kind of tackling different problems at the same time. But yeah, it really does help, like those meetings that we just discuss, kind of like what we're working on and how we're thinking about it, and we all just kind of pitch in like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like maybe it's fine,
Yeah.
it's good, or it's like, you know what, like that seems dumb. Like,
Yeah.
let's not do that.
So it reminds me of one of the sort of like a funny anecdote, which is every time that we find ourselves having a 50-50 decision and we recognize it as being like it could really go either way, unless someone has a really strong conviction on one way or another, we've done this thing before. We basically just like literally flip a coin.
Yeah.
If it's actually 50-50 and we need to make a decision to keep things moving,
Hmm.
you literally flip a coin and you keep going. Because I think it's worse to be stuck in that 50-50 mode
Yeah.
and debating, for
Yeah.
another 30 minutes, another hour, and still not having more conviction, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of the being fast.
Right.
Like just, yeah, if you're unsure, just pick a random one.
Yeah.
And go with it. And if it doesn't work, you
You're
can
gonna get
always
more,
change your
you'll
opinion.
get more information
Right.
by executing on one of them, and
Yeah.
now you'll know, and that'll inform the next decision, and then at least you sort of progressed.
Yeah. Something kind of tied to that is like, how do you, like, if you can talk about like, how do we check each other's kind of if we disagree on a topic,
Mhm.
how do we come to an agreement eventually, or like what happens there?
I think a lot of it is based on trust, first and foremost. The fact that you and I and Lewis have a very sort of like direct relationship,
Mm-hmm.
where no one takes anything personal, and we are really kind of almost like cutthroat in terms of like how we point things out. Like, I don't agree with that. I do agree with that. I think that's not great. I think that's not smart. And I think we do this all the time. So I think that creates almost like a natural like space for us to constantly be checking each other. And it becomes just, I think, a lot more kind of fact based, right? Where
Yeah.
if something stupid comes to the table, we just really, really try to like build a case for or against it. And also because we have the trust, we know that it's not a personal attack. It's merely actually trying to understand what we're talking about,
Yeah.
and make a decision either way, whether we go or don't go for it. But I think it just comes down to honestly like just the relationship, the nature of the relationship, the nature of trust, and the fact that like I trust that you guys are smart people that will come up with smart arguments. You're being rational about this, not emotional about this.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is being emotional about it, I think we've even gone as far as like saying, I think you're being emotional about this, right? Like with
Yeah.
that level of directness. And I think
Right.
it helps significantly because it's like, we're also humble enough to kind of like check ourselves and be like, you know what?
Right.
Yes, I am being emotional about it, and that's maybe not a great decision. So thank you for pointing it out.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Sometimes
bow
you
out.
have to accept that you lost. You lost the
Yeah.
argument.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what?
You don't have
You're
to have
right.
the last word. Exactly.
Right. It's like, yeah, all your points make more sense than mine.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go with yours. Right.
I think culturally also like we are really good at reminding ourselves and constantly being aware that we're all working towards the same goal.
Right.
So it's never I need to win at your expense or you need to win at my expense. It's like we're really just trying to do great work and we're trying to build a massive company, and that's the goal. So if I'm arguing for something, it's because I think that that's the best way to build a massive company, and I think that you're trying to do the same thing. So because we align on goals, it becomes easier to just like debate on, okay, I know we're pulling in the same direction to begin with, so we're not against each other. We're actually for each other. We're just evaluating different approaches.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah, very good points. I think yeah, I don't know how we do it, how we all,
Yeah.
like how do you even find a team like this, right? That
Yeah, yeah.
we're all just we get along, we're able to be very candid with
Yeah.
our feedback and call each other out, be like, you're just being emotional. Like, how do you even find someone like that? I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, the analogy that comes to mind essentially is at the very beginning of your career, you're basically this like, you're like a bus driver. You literally
yeah,
hop on the bus is empty, and you start driving down the road. And over the course of your career, you start almost like picking up people. You stop at different stops, and some people get on, some people get off, and some people stay in the bus, right? So as you continue progressing, I think what we've done is we sort of like we started filling up our bus with regulars, right? And we kind of identified our keepers. So Lewis, we know him back from Leap, right? We've worked together. We really enjoyed that dynamic. So we're like, let's continue. Like, let's stick along for the ride. Stay on the bus, right?
yeah,
Same thing with our designer. Same thing with other people. And every single time we kind of like begin to, we interact with a lot of people, but we continue to kind of like keep tabs on who the greats are and bring them along for the ride. I don't know if there's a shortcut to it, to be honest with you. I just think whenever you find someone great, you should invest in them and you should treat them well, and
yeah,
you should make sure that you build such a good relationship that they want to work with you in the future. And I think that's been part of the secret of the team that we built right now is full with people that we've worked with before.
yeah. I mean, interesting. Like, for example, our designer,
Yes,
he's kind of hopped with us from multiple companies.
I know. It's like
He's still with us.
I think it's like the third or fourth
Yeah, yeah.
company that we worked with him on.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy and
Yeah,
just super loyal and obviously we love working with him. He
yeah.
loves working with us.
And look, and we fired him multiple times.
Right.
We ran out of money, and we
Yeah.
couldn't afford him anymore.
He gets it.
And he gets it, and we're
Yeah.
upfront about it. And I think just I got the same thing with Lewis. We fired him before. Just
Right.
the way you treat people, I think, just like
Yeah.
really goes a long way, and it just helps you continue to build this
Yeah.
just this network and this rapport and this loyalty.
Yeah. I think speaking of firing, I think on the contrast of hiring, right?
Yeah.
Like you also have to be good at firing people.
Yes.
You have to know when it's like, okay, this person is just
Yeah.
not is not gonna make it,
Yeah.
right? Because I feel like if you keep them too long, it's gonna cause more problems in the long run.
It's more expensive.
So
It's 100% more expensive.
more expensive, not only money wise, but also like for the company, like maybe it slows you down, right? So,
Yeah.
how do you know like when a person is not working out? Like how do you tell?
I would say like you probably know much earlier than you think, and it's usually gut feeling, and it happens very quickly, I think. And I think sometimes you act on it right away, sometimes you don't. Every time that I haven't acted on it, because I sort of rationalize my way out of like, oh no, but maybe this X, Y, and Z. It's never once worked out,
Yeah,
not once. Every
yeah,
single time that you have that little tickle, I think it always plays out. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, you knew something. Your sort of psyche knew something
yeah,
about this person that it just wasn't a good fit.
yeah,
So I'm over time I've just learned to just act on it more,
yeah.
and really listen to it.
Yeah, better get it over with quickly. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like we like firing people. Like it's not
Yeah.
it's never fun, right?
No, it's not
It
fun.
always sucks, and it's like part of you does feel bad for them,
Yes.
but you just gotta do it. Like if they're not a good fit, they're not a good fit. Like that's it.
Yeah.
No hard feelings.
How has your experience been, I guess, with firing people, and how has that changed also over time, right? Like first person
Yeah.
you fired versus firing someone today. I guess how do you feel you've gone through that experience? What would have,
Yeah.
how's that changed?
No, I think it's exactly what I said. It's like it always hurts.
Yeah.
Like it does not feel good.
Yes.
When you get on that call, you're like, ugh, like I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But because obviously they have their own stuff they have to worry about, like their lives, their money, whatever, their job. Yeah, never feels good. I think over time though, it does get easier. I think part of me still feels bad, right? It's like sucks,
Yeah.
but It's got to be done.
Yeah.
No hard feelings, right? Like, I hope you do well, right? But it's not gonna work out for us.
Yeah. It's not the right fit for what we need as a company right now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know, I've always had a hard time rejecting people also at the interview stage.
Mm.
Because many times I tend to be like an optimist when I look at someone and tend to kind of like want to see the potential in them.
Yeah, yeah. You get a little attached.
Yeah, but I just see it because I was once, that kid that had a
Right.
lot of potential
Right.
and maybe it wasn't yet kind of through, but I just really wanted an opportunity to prove myself. And I almost like, and I know not everyone's like this, but I tend to project this on everyone that I see, where I see them as full of hope and potential. In most cases, I would say. And then rejecting them almost makes me feel it makes me maybe relive some of the rejections that I got in my early career. And that's always uncomfortable. I hate doing that. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird being in this position. Like
yeah.
it's not like you're looking forward to it. You never thought that you would be in this position,
Yeah.
destroying people's dreams.
Yeah, it's like hiring should be a very
Like,
positive experience, but
yeah, yeah.
instead for me, it's like I don't mind find a great candidate, hire them, easy.
Yeah.
Rejecting the 99% of everyone else who applied, difficult.
Yeah. Even though maybe they were good, right? But
Yeah.
they just weren't as good as the other person,
Or
right?
they might have been actually even better, but
Right.
the shape of their experience maybe didn't map exactly to
Yeah.
the shape of the opportunity. Some people are actually overqualified, and I end up rejecting them for that reason. It's very difficult, and it feels, and I guess my worry and the reason it's challenging for me to do this is because I worry that they won't see it in that way,
Yeah.
that they'll take it as a personal sort of failure, as opposed to the skills and opportunity match wasn't perfectly aligned, which is the truth.
Yeah.
And and they'll blame themselves for it. It's like I'm not trying to kill anyone's confidence, right? Which I mean, at the end of the day, like they're responsible for their own resilience, right? But I guess that's probably why I'm looking at it from most people's perspective, and they just won't see it, I think, as objective as it actually truly is.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Very interesting how, like, again, this somehow also ties to speed and perfection, right? Like,
Yes.
like I remember, we've all done this. We've all interviewed for the big companies, and it's like 20-step process. Uh, but yeah, it's crazy how, like, you got to build up your process, kind of like you're vibing in a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And I think most of, it's pretty funny that this is the first episode for vibe scaling, and we're talking about vibing a lot.
Yeah.
But but that's what it is. You kind of just go with your gut and you figure out
Yeah.
like whether now is the right time to, be more strict about hiring process, about engineering, about all these things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it just comes with experience, right? Like
I think also experience.
yeah,
Yeah, you do a lot of stuff, and at some point, some of that gets kind of like embedded into your sort of physical memory,
yeah,
which gets encoded as a sort of like intuition feeling.
yeah,
Over time, that gets stronger and stronger and stronger. I once got the advice from a very successful guy, kind of IPO'd his company, net worth probably in the hundreds of millions. And I was always struggling with like, hey, like I think my gut says this, but then I feel like maybe it's lying to me. And what should I do? And he told me like, you should always trust your gut 100% of the time. Be like,
Yeah.
it's a lot more intelligent than you think it is. And if you're not trusting your gut, then you might as well flip a coin.
yeah. No, I
You
think
probably have a bigger hit rate.
literally, I think all my big decisions in my life has been following my gut.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I just, I need to do this.
Yeah.
It just makes sense to me.
And you might not understand it consciously.
Right. You might not understand it, but you're like, screw it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
I think most people don't do that.
Yeah.
Most people don't follow their gut. They kind of get too caught up in people's advice or what they think.
Yeah. What would look good and
Right.
what's the popular thing to do here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. And obviously your gut is evolving all the time. Maybe what you thought was good last time,
Yeah.
and then your gut told you, maybe, it changed now.
Obviously, at some point, like the voice inside you gets so loud that you have to act on it. But I think part of like the speed sort of conversation is learning how to act on your gut, even when it's just a soft voice. Like it's the beginning of like, I don't know about this. Like it's usually right already. It'll just strengthen over time. But like if you're able to kind of like reduce the time to action,
Yeah.
I think that significantly speeds you up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's all the questions that I had. Do you have any other kind of thoughts around the speed versus perfection?
I think a lot of it is maybe cultural, would be like maybe like my closing bit. I think it really starts with the founders, and if you prioritize a culture of velocity and trust, and then you almost like hire for it, I think that's probably the most surefire way to actually do it. And then also walking the walk, in terms of like, yeah, you can say these things. You can say like, oh, we prioritize speed, but like, are you actually doing it in the day to day? Are you actually making fast decisions? Are you actually executing in a fast way? Are you actually figuring out how to remove yourself as being a bottleneck or a choke point? I think if you do that, it begins to permeate. It begins to affect the kind of people that you hire because you look for people with similar values. The way you evaluate those people, sometimes in the first couple of weeks, right, when you did your company. I think we do this with engineers and also people in other disciplines where it's like how fast do they push their first PR into production?
Right.
And whenever we see someone that like shipped some code on the first day, we're pretty happy with that outcome.
Yeah.
Perfect culture fit. Whenever we see someone kind of like reading and studying the code base for a couple of days, where immediately it's like red flag, right? And we kind of begin to get a little bit suspicious. It's like, maybe not the
Yeah.
right fit. So I definitely think it ultimately comes down to culture. Everything else is kind of like a byproduct of culture, and culture itself is a byproduct of sort of like founders and the way the founders execute and
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
you
It's like
act.
we want everyone in our team to be, trying really hard and really want it, right? Like, we need to see that drive.
Yeah.
But also you need to have the skills.
Yeah.
Now your skills don't have to be perfect if you have like a crazy amount of drive, right?
Yes.
And obviously there's like a little piece there about being coachable,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're not coachable, let's say you do have the drive, but you're not coachable, like I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a combination of things,
Yeah.
but I think that's what is gonna make our team great and our company, building our company eventually.
Yeah, I think on the coachable piece, there's also something around like emotional intelligence. It's like whether you're able to receive and act on feedback and reintegrate it back into yourself as sort of like an improved, feedback loop. And I think that's also like a key thing to hire for. It's like drive, ability to take feedback, like EQ. It's like drive, EQ, and then maybe skills is probably like the last, to be honest, because skills can be learned if you have the first two. Right.
Yeah.
So I think we have hired people in the past where we got plenty of candidates. Some were more skilled, some were less skilled, but the less skilled person had like significantly more drive and willingness to sort of like embrace, lean into problems and learn. And I think that person wins every single time. Like they'll very quickly catch up on skills and then they'll like exceed
Right.
it significantly.
Yeah, maybe the skill gap isn't as much, but
Yeah. The skill
but
gap
they
can
can
be
easily
close.
overtake that person.
100%, especially if they got the drive and they're willing to put in the hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, solid episode.
Yeah, I guess that's it for our episode of Vibe Scaling. Thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, see you next time.
See you guys in the next one.